Hello and welcome to the 2025 Tour de Richmond presented by MVP Disc Sports and Good Sports Discs. My name is Tim Eck and I'm joined by Graham Jennings.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. We're excited to show you this coverage today, starting off at Dunncroft from the Long Tees. We've got a lead card consisting of Keagy, Justin Rosak, Matt Graves, and Andrew Lamont. So we've got two local guys, including the winner from last year and the highest rated player in Richmond, joined by players from Pennsylvania and Northern Virginia.
We're starting off on hole 1. It's a short wooded shot to a very protected basket, about 193 feet.
Pretty much the only gap that players can take here for a true birdie look is through the left side on a forehand flex. Let's see how they attack.
Jay's throwing just a soft little forehand. Pops up not too far from the basket.
Rosak lining up with the forehand as well. Same gap angle looks good. And he's going to be close to circle 1.
Yeah. Looks like Matt is also lining up a forehand.
Looks decent, but he found some trees. He's going to have an obstructed look from circle 1 edge.
And Andrew also taking the forehand. There is a line you can take for a backhand as well. Looks like these guys are all just happier taking the forehand line.
Playing the skip, and he's got to tap in on hole 1. Rosak a little out of position, looking like an obstructed putt from circle 2 on the knee.
Very, very close to that. This shows how close together all these trees are for this basket.
Matt Graves penetrates most of the way, but finds a tree right near the basket.
Jay's not too far away. Looks maybe 25 feet.
Oh, he's good for it. Nice way to start off the tournament for Jay. Rosak a little obstructed and on the knee. Also good for it. And we'll watch these guys tap out as we get ready to head over to hole 2.
Hole 2, you're coming out of a very tight gap into an open shot. There's a small creek here that is casual, and then we tuck back into the woods to another tight green with the basket.
This is a pretty demanding tee shot, and we're going to see how these players attack it on lead card.
Jay throws a really nice forehand. He catches a little cabbage, but he's down just across the creek.
That landing's about circle 2 edge, maybe pushing into circle 3, about 70 feet to the basket. Lamont also going forehand. Pretty nose up and fading out right. There are a few gaps on that right side to approach the basket, but they're pretty poke and pray. He's going to be hoping for a 3 from that position.
Another forehand. Nice and low, pushing well. Caught a tree down low.
No opportunity for ground play. Ground play is pretty much the only way to consistently get onto the green for this hole. So that's why they're all trying to come in low with the forehands. Graves just a hair inside, doesn't quite make the gap. We'll see what he has for an approach. Has to opt for the flex. And he lands just short of the creek, and now he's got an approach with the PA4 turnover. He has an ultimate background, so that's a fun shot for him. But it doesn't pan out this time.
Andrew's going with a forehand through that cabbage, trying to find a gap. And he finds a great one. That's a great shot.
Well executed and a nice potential par save for Andrew Lamont.
Little soft flex approach for Justin.
Finds a tree, but he's still well within circle one. Should be good for that putt. Keagy with a long approach here for 2. Gets it most of the way up there, and he's going to have a stress-free 3, which is typically what you're looking for on the second hardest hole of the course. Gravy now has a tap in for the bogey.
Oh, just a little left on the basket.
It's early in the day. Happens to all of us sometimes. I'm sure Rosak will find his rhythm. Yeah. Lamont's good for the par.
And we'll see everyone else tap in their very short putts.
While the lead card taps in, it's worth noting this was the second hardest hole of the day, averaging 0.42 strokes over par. The only birdie came from MA1. Shout out to Sean McClary for that pretty awesome birdie.
Hole 3 is a 275-foot shot, once again out of a gap and back into some trees that protect the basket. Looks like Jay's going to be going with a forehand here. Both forehand and backhand are good options. It's just kind of picking your gap and finding the right line to get you up there. Looks like he was a little early coming out.
Most players in the pro division opt for the flex forehand to finish towards the basket, taking advantage of the pine straw and hard packed dirt that's near the green, hoping for a stress-free birdie. But it is a pretty technical shot considering the length. Lamont's shot looks high and sawed off, and he'll be outside of circle 2 to approach the basket with a few gaps to choose from.
Yeah. Justin also choosing to go with the forehand.
He goes super overstable with the jawbreaker cap wrap, finds the gap, and finds the green. That's going to be stress-free birdie for Justin Rosak.
Forehand very popular for these guys. It's also looking pretty nice. Skips just a little past the basket. Shouldn't be too hard to tap that in.
Let's see what these guys are left with as they approach the green. Lamont's about 75 feet out, but he finds a putting window.
Oh, very good bid. Just barely coming up short.
Lamont loves those pixels for that high glide. He's a pretty dangerous putter from anywhere inside of 100 feet with those. Keagy lines up the jumper, and he's just going for the green there. Good approach. Rosak with an unfortunate right side spit there. That was pretty close to the pocket, but it was a little bit right, and it didn't stick. Gravy will pick up the birdie, though. And tap in pars for the rest of the card.
And we will move on to hole 4. Hole 4 starts on top of a hill, comes down across the creek, back up into the woods with a tight gap to get to another protected basket.
Players have two options here. You can play the right side and hope to skip in, or you can try to fight up the inside gap like Matt Graves does here. And Matt Graves will be at about 40 feet looking at a birdie there. It's worth noting this green is pretty guarded, so you want to make sure you find the correct landing zone to have a good putt into it. Let's see how Keagy attacks this hole. Dark Rebel on a pushing hyzer line, and he finds the right side gap, gets most of the way up, and he's going to be looking at about a 40-footer, maybe a 33-footer for birdie.
Andrew's looking a little to the left. Yeah, he fades out into the trees. He's going to have an obstructed approach to get to the basket.
Yeah, tough looks from that left side. You'd rather be right. I'd say the miss is right on this hole, but we'll see if he can scramble his way to a par.
Justin going pretty low with an overstable disc. Looks like he got knocked down. He is in the fairway, so, well, we can see his jump approach right there.
Yeah, he didn't want anything to do with that green, just going for the stress-free 3. Lamont looks like he may be trying to give this a bid from about 75 and uphill.
Gets pretty close to the basket.
A little bit of a half bid there from Lamont. Didn't want to find any danger.
Yeah.
Jay's running this for sure, and he's good for it. Nice step putt from Jay for a birdie on hole 4.
And we can see that Matt's got a look, but there's that one tree that's kind of in his way. Let's see if he can bend it in there.
He's a very touchy putter. Switching in between his PA4 and his Rico, his PA4 is a slightly more understable option for him, so he's trying to put a little bit of shape on this to avoid that tree.
Catches chains, but no dice.
Rest of the card's going to tap in the par. Gravy already showing a little bit of frustration early, but that's expected. That was a putt that he makes most of the time.
Hole 5 is a short 250-foot tunnel. It hooks out. The basket's a little in the open.
You've got a creek behind, and there is a little bit of a drop-off down to the creek as well, so finishing long can leave you with a relatively obstructed putt. Keagy has a pretty close circle 1 approach. Gravy's talking about the option of throwing big around the trees and actually approaching this without going to the tunnel, but he opts for the safe play. His A5 finds the gap, and he's in circle 1. Great throw from Matt Graves.
Andrew's throwing his hex here. We'll see how he gets through. Oh, he does catch a tree, but it directs him forward towards the basket. He'll have a putt that he can attack there. Justin went with his justice. Oh, caught an early tree and headed right. He can still definitely get the 3, but there's some challenging lines.
Having to go to the knee with the forehand here. It's an aggressive angle. Let's see if it finishes well.
That was a nice touchy approach, and the putt won't be too bad for him.
Looking at about 20 feet inside of circle 1. Lamont from 50.
Just barely misses it.
Not too bad. It's worth noting these guys are all playing in above 90-degree temperatures and probably 100% humidity, so it is hot. So keeping cool and keeping cool-headed is going to be the ticket for success. Yeah. Just like Rosak here with a nice 20-footer for par. Let's see if Lamont can follow suit. And he does. A little right, but the basket grabs it. Nice grab. Nice putt. Seems like it pays to be a local on hole 5 with the 2 local players with relatively short putts for birdie. Matt Graves is good for his, and Jay Keagy will follow suit. And we head over to hole 6. Hole 6 is a 287-foot, relatively tight shot that bends slightly left late in the flight, and then the finish is slightly over to the right. So it's up to players on how they want to navigate this. We'll probably see a lot of forehands here, just like Jay Keagy throwing his zone. He tries the flex, comes out just a little early of what he was hoping due to that shrubbery he hits. Matt Graves lining up a blue fairway driver. That typically means it's his beat up Z Raptor. I stand corrected. Looks like he's going for the VIP Longbowman. Let's see how it pans out for him.
Doesn't quite get the turn on it that he wants to get up under the basket.
Yeah, well, it looks like he probably should have gone with that Raptor, but that's okay. He'll have a slightly obstructed circle 2 putt.
Andrews opted to go with a servo here. Gets a very nice turn on it. If it comes back, it'll be great. Well, catches a tree on the left-hand side.
Just slightly overturned, but Andrew Lamont demonstrating his touch, throwing a pretty understable fairway driver on forehand and finding most of the way through the gap. That was a good shot.
Yeah. Justin's taking the backhand envy route here. Catches a tree early. A lot of times taking that backhand, you're going to end up with a slightly longer putt, but you don't have to do quite as much touch to get it to the basket.
Yeah, I liked that play out of Rosak, even though it didn't pan out. Unfortunately, neither does his approach, and he'll have an obstructed circle 2 look for par. Matt Graves demonstrating that ultimate background, going with a spore forehand approach on a high anhyzer angle. And he's even laughing about it because not a lot of people are doing shots like that out here. But he'll have a circle 1 look. Keagy obstructed circle 2.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has too much to work with, but catches some cabbage and just gets knocked down next to the basket. Stress-free par, but I think you want a little more.
Andrew always in the hunt. A good bid, just a little bit low and right. Yeah, with this hole playing as only the 7th hardest, these guys are definitely hoping for birdies on this relatively short par 3. Rosak's good for it from just outside of circle 1. Great looking putting stroke from Justin Rosak. They're all going to clean up their pars now. Pretty surprising to see this averaging slightly over par for the day for the MPO field at only 287 feet. But it's that time of the round where the nerves start to kick in.
Hole 7 is a 373-foot par 3. The basket is tucked over to the left. The shot is down a pretty wide cutaway. We'll see most of these guys probably attack it with a backhand and try and get tucked in close to the basket on the fade.
Keagy playing a subtle flip up. He's a little bit inside and he gets a favorable kick out, so he should be approaching from about 70 to 80 feet out. I feel like this hole requires roughly 400 foot of power if you're going for the pure hyzer to get into circle 1.
Matt's just taking a TL3. Gets very nicely up there. Hits a tree right behind the basket. Great roll. Parked for an easy tap-in birdie. That's a great shot.
Fun way to play the hole for sure. Lamont following suit, potentially with a trail. Gets the flip, riding right. Looks like it's got some finish in it. Right on time. Couldn't draw it up better myself.
Yeah, wonderful shot.
Rosak opting for a more overstable shot, lining up that jawbreaker cap wrap again, but he gets it wide. Let's see how it finishes.
When it tucks in, he'll have like a circle's edge-ish putt.
Keagy has a line. Looks like he's lining up the putt. Goes with that big jumper. Finds the band. Not a bad bid from Jay Keagy. He's pretty dangerous from range, so not surprised to see him run it there.
Here's Justin's putt from the edge of the circle. Easy.
Nice stroke for birdie from Rosak on circle's edge. Hole 7 played as the 12th easiest hole and averaged 0.08 strokes under par for the day. Now we head over to hole 8. Hole 8 is a 287-foot, very slightly uphill, very tight wooded shot that plays mostly straight with a subtle finish to the right. As you see, the drone is flying through the left-hand gap. I think we'll see most of the players go right up the gut.
Matt throws a little force over forehand. He's tucked over right.
Just a hair overturned out of his hand. He'll be about 100, maybe 120 out. Lamont following suit with a forehand with a much slower disc.
He also gets a little turn, catches a tree about halfway down the fairway, kicks over to the right, which might be a little tough, but a lot of times you can find your way out of that.
The right definitely turns into jail a lot quicker than the left, though. Rosak, once again, jawbreaker cap wrap. Can he flex it through the gap? He sure can. He finishes a little bit short. He's looking at it about 60 feet from the wood line near the green.
Jay's opting to go with a buzz on backhand here. He catches a tree, kicks very far left. That can be troublesome as well, though it looks like he did find a place where he could get a little flex forehand out towards the basket.
He's going to be approaching from just 20 to 30 feet in front of the short tee pad. Not bad. He's looking at about a circle 1 putt, but he does have that tree overhanging that's going to make that putt a little bit more challenging. Let's see if Lamont can find a line out of the woods and to the green. A little bit shorter than he might have wanted, probably looking at a 40 to 50 footer. Gravy, even though his tee shot was overturned, is looking at a circle 2 putt.
Ooh, just barely off the rim. That looked very good as a little hyzer putt to bend it around the trees he needed to get around.
And he's not usually a hyzer putter. I think he went to that style to avoid the overhanging branch. So a great choice by him to avoid that and almost converted. Rosak from 45. Same thing. I don't think he wanted anything to do with that branch. He wanted a stress-free tap in.
Andrew Straddle gets him around the tree for a very nice par putt.
Don't think we're going to see Keagy doing a step putt into the puddle here, so let's see how he does from the straddle. He's good for it. Nice putting stroke from Keagy.
We'll see our other players tap out their shots before we move on to hole 9.
I love it when this happens, Tim. Hole 8 played as the eighth hardest hole of the day.
Hole 9 is a par 4, 478 feet. You see the drone taking a left-hand gap here. This is a very tight gap to get through. There is a gap on the right that we'll see some players decide to take instead. Just kind of laying up to take the to just go for the birdie and not try and attack too aggressively.
That left-hand gap is very tight and it requires an immense amount of control. Let's see what the players try to go for here.
Matt is opting to go for that left-hand gap. The turned over forehand is probably the best way to get through most of that gap. And a lot of times that can let you get over to the basket on your next shot.
Looks like Lamont's thinking about that left gap as well.
Oh, he throws a flex out. This is going to be to the right-hand gap, trying to find a good landing zone. Looks like he might have gone a little bit deeper than he wants to, but I think he can probably work with what he's got.
Absolutely. He's going to be about 30 feet long of the intended gap, so he'll have to flex something through the gap to approach for birdie. Rosak.
Just opting to throw a justice here.
And it puts him right where you want to be. He's in that slightly darker gray, which means he's going to have a pretty straight shot at the basket. Having played quite a few rounds with Keagy, I know he's getting aggressive, and I know he's going left side. He's got a wraith in his hands, and he's looking to attack here.
That looks a little inside of the intended gap.
I thought so too, and then it came right in front of my face.
Oh my goodness, and he's almost getting to the card ahead of them.
He's got about a 70-footer for eagle, folks. That's a fantastic drive that most of us aren't going to be able to replicate.
Ooh. Justin flexed a shot down that gap. Looked really, really nice. It should be pretty close to the birdie there. And then here's Lamont, little deep. He's got to find a way through that gap. He pushed a little far into the trees.
Lines up a forehand, finds a flex line, gets most of the way through, and he'll be out in the opening there, probably looking at a circle 2 look. This is a skill that feels pretty unique to Matt Graves. He's throwing a relatively understable mid-range in the truth, but unfortunately saw a gap, wasn't able to get through. He'll go back to the forehand, probably going wide, but he's looking narrow. Pretty well negotiated, I'd say, and looks like he's going to be in circle 1 for a par look. And Keagy's drive landed here, folks. He's looking at a 70 to 80 foot jump putt for eagle. Didn't quite put enough on it. Going to land about 20 feet from the basket.
Looks like Justin carried a little long of the basket, but the comebacker is not going to be too tough for him.
His putts look good today, and that continues right in the heart. Great birdie from Justin Rosak from 40. Keagy a little bit out of position considering where his drive was. Let's see if he can convert. He's good for it. Nice putt from Keagy. Matt Graves attempting his par save here from about 25. Nice. Good putting stroke. Right in the heart. As our feature card finishes up the front 9 at Dunncroft, let's check in with our leaderboard. We're going to have a pretty tight race at the top with Keagy edging out the pack with a -4, a bunch of -3s and -2s in the top 10.
A huge thank you to all our sponsors who have helped us make this event possible, in particular Radiant Home Services. Corey and Mary have been on site every round of the event, talking with players and showing their support to the Richmond disc golf community. Thank you to them and to all our other sponsors who've offered their support for this event.
Thank you so much for watching the Tour de Richmond presented by MVP Disc Sports and Good Sports Discs.